Guys, did you know that 160 million Americans consume beef jerky and jerky snacks in a regular basis?
You serious?
Yes, I'm very serious. That's almost half of the entire population of the USA. Now, let's be honest. If you are a die-hard beef jerky lover, it is really hard to resist to a bag of good beef jerky. And even if you are not, this is the thing that stops you from buying it: the price. So, I have the solution for you. Today, we are going to find out which is the best way to dehydrate your jerky. Or, plain said and simple, dehydrator or oven. Each of them have its own pros and cons. For example, the biggest pro in the dehydrator is that it was made just for that: dehydration. Having a fan for circulation results in drying everything evenly, which creates a better quality jerky. It also allows you to dry out a large amount at once, created in a way to have a lot of dehydrating surface but compact enough to place it in your kitchen. Low maintenance, temperature control, easy to use, energy efficient, and no babysitting needed. Come on guys, how much easier you want it? Let me know in the comments. Now on the other side, the oven, it is very likely that you already have one. Temperature control is not as accurate as a dehydrator, as temperature flows up and down a bit. Also, not all ovens operate at low temperature. Ovens need to be babysat, but if you're not a hardcore beef jerky lover and just looking to double, or a newbie to beef jerky, then the oven will be your best shot. Now let's talk about the meat. Why top round meat? There's a lot of factors that can affect your jerky, and meat is the biggest one. I chose top round meat for this experiment for multiple reasons. It is inexpensive. 1 pound of top round costs $4.99. It has a very low fat content. Fat will oxidize and dramatically affect the longevity of the jerky. It's very low in connecting tissues when compared to other cuts. Again, we are going with this meat for this experiment, but that will definitely change in upcoming videos. Also, if you are getting this meat from your butcher as I did, take this into consideration. Cutting the meat against the grain will create a more tender jerky at the end. But if you like your jerky to be a bit chewy, then cut it against the grain will be your go-to. Just tell your butcher how you want your meat to be cut, and I'm sure they will do it for you. I got these 2 pounds of top round in my favorite store, Broward Meat and Fish. They have it all in there, and the service is second to none. I just asked them to cut my steaks at 1/8 of an inch, that is 3 millimeters thick, and they did. If you are buying your meat for jerky but not making it right away, ask them to add paper between the steaks so it doesn't change colors and it will look as fresh as it was when you got them in the store. Now, because we are going to dehydrate the meat in 2 different ways, I will rearrange each steak and cut them right down the middle. That way, we are sure there is not going to be any difference on the meat for a fair comparison. Also, I will marinate all the meat together so all of it gets the same treatment. For the marinade, we will change it a little bit this time. This marinade will use some acidic ingredients, so it is recommended not to use any metal pot to put it together. This recipe is called the 4-star beef jerky marinade, and you will need the following ingredients: 1/8 cup of fish sauce, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of coarse pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 5 garlic cloves slightly crushed, and half a tablespoon of sea salt. The reason we don't use table salt for beef jerky is due to the iodine content. It will affect the flavors of the meat. But if you find table salt without iodine, you can use it too. Curing salt is also something to avoid, as consuming a lot of it can affect your kidneys and other renal functions. Now, I will just add the meat, little by little, and mixing as I go. That way, I'm sure all the steaks will be coated. Now, it's just a matter of waiting. I would set the bowl in the fridge and let the marinade do its magic for a minimum of 8 hours. The longer, the better. It is the next day for me, so I will take the meat out of the fridge. And the first thing that I like to do when I take it out of the fridge is to just give it another mix. At this step, it is very recommendable to use gloves, as any bacteria added at this point will stay in the meat when you eat it. Using a strainer, I will remove as much of the marinade as I can from the meat, applying a little bit of force to it. Whatever is left of the marinade should be discarded. Do not reuse this marinade for anything. The idea now is to place the meat on the trays, making sure you leave air gaps around each slice, and spread it out so there's no wrinkles on the meat. We need the air to flow from top to bottom and between the meat, so we can get the most amount of humidity and moist removed from it. For the oven, we will do the same thing using oven rags and proceed as normal. The dehydrator will be set to 150 degrees, that is 65 Celsius, for 5 hours. At that point, I will check the jerky and decide if it is time to pull or leave there for 30 more minutes. The oven will be set at the same temperature, but this time I will leave the door open a little bit so the humidity can escape. 5 hours at 150 degrees will be the settings for the oven too.
8:01 p.m.
And after 5 hours, this is what we get. Your jerky should look like this. Dry, but not brittle. If it is brittle, it is because it's overcooked. And if it is still juicy, it is because it needs more time. At the end, your jerky should be able to have a little bit of a crackle when bent, but not break. Beef jerky should be able to last for 2 weeks with no problem. But if you are looking to store it, just vacuum seal it and it should last for 6 months in the fridge.
We get it all in one day.
Of course, not in this house. And we have beef jerky everywhere. Beef jerky everywhere. Oh, let's keep it separately.
Yeah, you're mixing it.
All right, guys. These here are the dehydrated ones. Well, everything is dehydrated, but this is the one we did in the dehydrator. And these are the ones we did in the oven. The only difference that I can find out is that this one is a little bit more dry. It has a little bit of a crackle when it bends, and it doesn't break. This one is a little bit more flexible. It's just, I don't know. It's not as cracky as this one, as crunchy as this one. That's the only difference that I can find. Now, I will tell you this. That marinade will give it a really good fishy smell. I really like it. Miss Ninja hate it, but I really like it. And the sesame seeds, I think I put a little bit too much, but they are so good and so crunchy, man. I love the sesame seeds. For me, I will go with I think the winner will be, who's going to be the winner? I don't know. The dehydrator! The dehydrator is good. The dehydrator is awesome. The dehydrator is delicious. But with this marinade, it's not beefy or something like that. It's a little bit fishy. I think it's the oyster sauce and the fish sauce and the whole thing that we put in there. It's really good. It's not like, oh, I don't like it. And it's very peppery. You feel the pepper in there and you feel so nice, really nice flavors on the marinade. So that's something for you to take note, and leaving everything down there in the description so you can take note. And in the next video, we're going to come out with more recipes and different marinades and a lot of other crazy stuff we have planned for you guys. But before we get to that video, I have to ask you a question. Did I make you hungry? If we made you hungry, you have to hit us with the like. Subscribe to the channel, share with your friends and family, and don't forget to share these videos on your social network because that helps us a lot. That's all for today, but remember that I love you.
We love you too. See you in the next one.
And Mr. George is there too.
Oh my God, he wants some beef jerky.
He wanted.